So hello to all Ragic users, no matter where you are and no matter which time zone you are in. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you, and welcome to this special edition of Ragic webinar. And in this edition, it's basically an office hour, and I previously provided you guys with a link for you guys to submit some questions about Ragic if you guys have any. And I will be answering those questions as you can see on the screen in this webinar. And in the meantime, during this webinar, you may also ask any questions on the sheet, or you can also ask some quick questions in the chat box. And other than answering those questions, I will also be talking about some of the new Ragic features and some of the other key common mistakes that users may make when they are designing or using their Ragic database. And in the meantime, I'm just going to wait another few minutes to allow more users to join. And yes, if you have questions, feel free to ask today, which is the purpose of this webinar, and I'll answer them during the webinar too. And I see more users joining this webinar, since just to tell you guys that this webinar is a special, sort of like a special edition, well, sort of, since this is the first time I'm doing a Q&A session. Other than asking questions on the Ragic sheet, on your Ragic questions sheet, which I just created and provided you guys with the link, you may also just directly ask your questions in the chat box right here too. If it's more extensive and requires more details, I still suggest you guys ask in the Ragic sheet, because I think the YouTube chat thing, it limits you to only 200 characters. So it might not be as in detail, but you may still ask them if your question is probably less detailed and a bit more brief on them. And all right, it's 9:34 a.m. in my time zone. I'm in the GMT time zone. If you guys don't know, I'm in Tainan, Taiwan still. So I'll be asking your questions in order, answering your questions in order. And if you guys have any follow-up questions, doesn't matter if you are the person who asked the question, or if you just have more questions about my answers or the questions, feel free to let me know in the chat box. And if I feel it's relevant to this question, I will answer it directly basically extend my answers. However, if it's not really too closely related, I will be answering them after I finish all the Ragic questions on this sheet. All right, so the first question is it possible to run a nightly formula recalculation and link and load refresh? So this is from user Stephanie. Basically, I think she wants to do like basically on automatic daily recalculation, but the JavaScripts, she mentioned that it's not really working correctly, and I've actually taken a look at this. This is basically the part where you add JavaScripts to basically to your sheet, and it will do like a daily workflow or a certain workflow. These are added right here. If you go like a sheet, and then you can click on the downward arrow, there's a JavaScript workflow. I'm just going to quickly demonstrate this. When you go to the JavaScript workflow, you can add post workflows, pre-workflows, approval workflows, install sheet scope, or for a sheet or for your complete database, it is either done in global daily template or template daily workflows. This is more towards like the coding side, but the daily recalculation, we actually have it on our knowledge base documents, because it's not that difficult. It's actually doable even if you're not a developer. So let's just go back to the entry quickly. So why it isn't working? Well, we have this document, and I'm just going to show this right here. We have this document on in our knowledge base, and it is an updated knowledge base. I will also show you guys how to use the knowledge base later. And basically, in this, it shows automatic daily recalculation. Yes, global script, JavaScript workflow. Now, the biggest reason why it's not working is because you're missing this. I think it's a backward slash. You're missing a backward slash in the basically like the beginning part of your tab name, where you're putting your other recalculation workflow. So let's compare this. There's a slash, the tab name, slash, and the sheet number, which is generated by Ragic. And right here, you do not have this forward slash in any of them. That's why it's not working. So to make sure that your JavaScript workflow is working, please make sure that your format is completely correct. So make sure you put the forward slash in them, and they should be working properly. And also, if you would like to set a certain time for your JavaScript workflow times, so for example, if I would like to do an automatic recalculation for this, it's db recalculate all and then the slash thing. I would need to add this in my workflow part. JavaScript workflow. I think this should be, I always refer to documents if I don't remember everything. Switch it to add daily workflow. And then, which is db recalculate all. And then you save it right here, and then this will basically, you have saved the daily workflow and to recalculate a sheet daily every time. And if you would like to change the time of the workflow, it's done in job schedules. So there's a daily workflow here, and you can select the time to execute, like a certain time, and also you can go back if you're in the wrong time zone. It can be changed in company settings, company local time zone. You can change it right here, and then they will be applying in the settings right there. So this is common because sometimes you miss out some components of your formulas or for your workflow settings, etc. I've actually made that mistake myself personally, but don't worry. Just make sure you just get the forward slash and all the components correct whenever you're setting a certain workflow or a formula up. And let's go back to the second question. All right, and this is from user Terry. I guess it's a he, and he asked, I work with very sensitive information, and what assurance is provided to protect that data? And additional details, I work within HR workforce planning and like the idea of Ragic to capture requests for change to the workplace plan to tracked and traced. The request contains cost and budget information and personal detail that is highly sensitive. So regarding sensitive information and how we protect that, there are quite a few ways to go for with Ragic, and what I personally think is most important is to set up the correct access rights. So let's go to change design and form settings. For every sheet, you may set access rights for every user group. And I mean, every user group, we can add different number of users, and a user can be in multiple user groups. So basically, you may control the access rights to a sheet or to a certain record easily by setting the access rights. So first of all, for this, taking this your Ragic question sheet, since I would like to allow the public to ask questions here, so I set everyone as bulletin user and no edit. This means every user, they can create their own entries, edit their own entries, but view all other users' entries without, but they won't be able to edit them. And also they won't, since I've enabled no edit, it means that they won't be able to edit their own entries even if they created them as well. So for your access rights, if it's very sensitive, the first things first is to make sure that you only grant the access rights to the people who are responsible and who should have access. So for example, if it's very sensitive, like the most sensitive scenario is probably like only the director's office could see a certain sheet, then all the other user groups should be set with no rights. And I'm just taking the management for example. The management should be the bulletin user, so they can create and edit their own entries or view all entries. Or on the other hand, they may also be admins, meaning that all the data on the sheet can be modified as well. And there are also other different levels of access rights, such as viewer, which means viewing all entries. There are also survey users. It means you may only create and edit and manage your own entries, such as the entries you've created or the entries that are assigned to you, such as when we have an assigned user field. I'm just going to say assigned user, and we've set selected user as entry manager. Now, if this field is created and a user is selected for a record, then that user will be the entry manager, and they will be being able to edit and view, edit, and modify their own record, being a survey user. So that's basically how you're protecting your data in terms of sheets. This is the most important part if you do not want a certain group of people viewing the record. But there are also other scenarios, which is sometimes you want. Let's say the director's office could view all records, all fields, all data, and the HR office, they can only view the data partially. However, in order to have the data to be synced for the director's view and for the the HR office's view, this time the multiple versions come in play. You may create multiple versions. So I'm just going to use this sheet as an example since there's existing data. Multiple versions, use same data source on new sheet, create duplicate. And your question is wrong. Copy HR version. I'm just going to name it. And I got a new question right here. That's amazing. And basically, there's a new sheet, and if I want to hide I want to hide certain fields or I want some fields to not be displayed on this sheet. All I can do is I can either hide it on this sheet or simply just delete it on this sheet. So if I delete the attachments file field on this sheet and I click save, this is what like the HR versions would look like, and this is what the original version would look like. So the data and records are in sync, but the display is different, meaning that you can grant different access rights to different people. And I can also extend it further for actions. When going into account setup, feature settings, and I can select which user groups can use which features. So such as what sysadmins can import, everyone can download from a listing page, but I can also change it right here, make it only sysadmins, and remove everyone, etc. I can also modify the settings. And this is for feature access settings. And in terms of another core idea of Ragic is using user management. Going to users, I only have myself as a user in this database, and I'll select which user. If I have a lot of other users, I can select which user groups they are in, and it means that which user groups they are, which roles they can use as in the database and on every sheet, which is determined by the access rights settings for every sheet. So, and that's for access rights. And if you are interested in Ragic security, like the security settings, feel free to email us at support@ragic.com, and I'll provide you with the document for Ragic's product security, which is a bit more advanced. It talks about the IT background, sort of Ragic, and how we manage your data and how we secure your data. And that's it for this question. If you guys have any questions, any follow-up questions, feel free to let me know, and I will also answer them. Now, the third question, would like to have a field named dynamic selector. So this is from user Gabriel Fugulin. If I mispronounce your name, please, I apologize here, and please forgive me. So this selector will accept a number of renewable options instead of fixed ones as in the actual selector. User will input options until maximum is reached. He would then erase unused items and replace with newer, more useful ones. This would act as a list of recently used selections according to the most recent requirements. So what I'm guessing, if I understand your request correctly, is you would like to have a selection field, but your selections are very dynamic. They can be deleted easily, they can be added easily, and they can be probably modified to be hidden if certain criteria, such as it's expired, etc. I'm guessing that's what you mean, and if that's the case, I would suggest not to use the normal selection field we have. Instead, I would suggest creating a new sheet to store your selections and set them with using link and load relationships. So here's how I would do it. I'm just going to create a new sheet right here. Selection source, I guess. Selection source, create, and so select value, and I'm just gonna say status, ready and expired, I guess. I'm just gonna create two fields and a few selections. So select value A, ready. Oops. Let's go. Oh, I see. I see this. It made it as a numeric field. I need it as a free text. My apologies. A, ready. B, expired. C, ready. And if I want to, and then what I would like to do is another sheet called making selections. I'm just gonna say sheet record number, and I will be using a link and load selection from the selection source sheet. Select value, and then this will be the selection. This will be where you're making your selections. Click save, and you can then select a value from the selection source which you have created. Now on the selection source sheet, since this is where we'll be managing your selections, you can delete your selections, add your selections directly on this sheet. So instead of using the selection field, which is you have to go to design mode and manually change everything, using a link and load, which means linking and selecting for another sheet, you may change the source selections really easily, and it's you don't even need to be the sysadmin to go to the design mode to do so. And other than that, you may also apply what we call dynamic filters. So for this link and load, you can click on the gear button right here, and so I'm just going to say I'm going to set another field called expired, and then set a default value called expired. Actually a default value called ready, and ready right here. Click save, and using dynamic filters, dynamic filtering for your link and load. When the value on other sheet status matches the value on the field value on this sheet, it's equal. So when that is done, leave right here. So if I create a new record and I like to select a value, right now all the statuses, all the selections I can select are with the status ready. Is because I've applied a dynamic filter to make both field values have to be identical. And this can be hidden if this is just like a dynamic filtering setting. You don't want to display it, just make sure you hide this field. And you may use it for statuses or certain dates, or for dynamic filtering. I guess this is the best way to manage your, let's go back to the question again. Manage your selections really dynamically. Just as an overall, just create a new, use link and load, create and manage your selections on the link source sheet, and make sure you have like the certain field as for the dynamic filtering, and go back to your link and load on the link and load sheet that you're trying to execute the action on, and apply dynamic filtering to make it dynamic. And it will allow you to hide certain records for selections. And yeah, I think that's the best way for you to go with it. And if any of these questions, if any of my answers doesn't answer it completely, feel free to leave a message in the chat box below, or just simply provide us with more information, again, via the chat box below, or just submit a support ticket via the need help button on the top right corner, and we'll provide you with a more comprehensive answer. Let's go to the next question. Also from user Gabriel Fugilin. Strategy to create or update inventory records. So I'm trying to build an inventory app, Gestion d'Inventar, based on your warehouse template. Customer has a central warehouse plus regional compounds. My problem lies in a product sheet that could simultaneously create a record for non-existing products or update only when the case is with and already existing record ID. Creation case will require the creation of our product ID plus associated data. Already existing product ID means only need to update. What is a recommended strategy to build that scenario? And the next step is to import Excel sheets and automatically insert properly these records if possible. And thanks for your experience, inputs, and recommendations, Gabriel. Let me answer the first part first, which means basically the user wants to update. There are two options that's possible: to create a new sheet or to update a new sheet. Now, what I would do, first of all, I'm just going to talk about this action buttons. To create a new record on a new sheet, it will need to convert records. But if you want to update, you need update value on another sheet. Now, what I would do with them is, let's see how can I make a demonstration right here. All right, so I'm going to create a duplicate sheet for this your Ragic question sheet. Duplicate sheet, not using the same data source. Now for this, I've applied the same settings, the same questions, and a key number. A key number already applied. Basically like the same settings. What I would do is, I would create both buttons at once. So if I will, first of all, let's just go change design, create a convert records button onto the duplicate sheet, and I'm going to auto map this field. So I'm basically copying like the whole every data on the entry, and then create convert records button. Convert, and I'm also going to create an update values button. Update value on another sheet. This your question sheet, duplicate. Just going to say, I'm going to let me think of a good field. Let's say I'm gonna add attach. No, attachment is not a good. So, all right, I'm just gonna add additional details to update two additional details. Just for this field, you can update as many fields as possible when the question number matches the question number right here. So, all right, and then create update value on the sheet button. Update. And save and exit. Now I have two action buttons created. Just take your record, Mr. Gabriel Fagulin, as an example. Now on the duplicate copy, there are no entries right here. So, and where is this? Actually, I'm gonna close this right here. Now, if I would like to update, but there's no entries, I can't find them, I click update, and there are warning. There are one rule of the action that cannot be executed. I can't find the entry because if I create update, if I click on update, I can't find the entry. There's no question number 4 there, so there's no place for it to update from. If that happens, I can click convert, and it'll create a new entry right here. However, because the question number is set as a key field right here, and where is the settings? Key field, and it has to be set as unique. If I try to convert it again, I'm just gonna refresh this. If I try to convert it again, it will show that question number 4 is already in the database. If I need to update, I would need to click the update button again. Oh, the target field is already updated. I would need to manually clear. This is for the update button, since we only allow the update values on the sheet button to be executed once. If you want to execute it again, you need to manually clear this field. So let me just clear this field for a demonstration. Clear and save. And I will click update, and then because it's found the record number 4, and it means I've already completed the update. So this is how I would like to go with it. It means simply create the convert button and the update button on the same record. And if you can't click the convert button, you have to click the update button. If you can't click the update button, it means you have to click the convert button. So having those 2 buttons display at once, but you only need to click 1 button, and only 1 button will work, depending on how your current status and how your current workflow is. And that's how I would go forward with it. And talking about your next step, to be able to import Excel sheets and automatically insert properly these records if possible. I'm not really sure how you would like to import your Excel sheets, but please make sure that it's in the correct format. And let me just quickly talk about this. Let me show you guys. Let me show you the other screen. I'm not sure if you guys see my Excel sheet right here. I think it will be wiser to make it a bit smaller. I guess this is on the right size. So if you would like to import your data from Excel or from CSV, make sure it's in this format. So as you can see, my first row is the field headers, and the following rows will be each individual record. So I did a mock for like a student information sheet, and like the first record will be James Carver's information, the second record will be Annie Stowe's information, etc. And remember every record has to be in 1 row, and for every column it will be every field, so they have to be matching the corresponding fields as well. And this is basically like the first and foremost step if you want to import your data correctly to Ragic. And just make sure that it's aligned correctly in both vertically and horizontally. And I would like to leave question 5 last. All right, for this, how to get rid of old link fields and relink to new link fields in another sheet. This question is also from user Gabriel Fugulin. Difficult to find where these old links are located. I do create another new link and get rid of the old one. Then I move the new link to the previous occupied field name. How do I get old link fields and real? If you're referring to the fact that you would like to rebuild your data relationships, like link and load relationships, what I would do is, I think the best way is to go to the making selections sheet. Since you would like to remove this linked field, but you don't know how to remove this, if that's the case, just go back to your link and load settings screen. Actually, my bad, I just noticed that I didn't switch my screen. Alright, I'm just gonna quickly go through this again. Basically, I'm guessing the user wants to modify their link and load settings, but doesn't really understand how to remove link fields that are originally set up already. So if that's the case, please go to the design mode and go to form tools, click your link, and then click your link and load relationship, the blue box. And there's you guys should be able to see this red icon right here. And clicking on this red icon, you'll be able to remove your link and load settings. And that's done. And if you need to do another link and load, just relink again. If that doesn't answer your question, please let me know. But if you'd like to modify your link and load settings in a different way, please also let me know. And I guess if you're here in this webinar, feel free to ask in the chat box. If you're not, feel free to just submit a support ticket, and our support staff are always happy to help. And finally, let me go to the last question. This is actually a very interesting question from user David. How would you describe what Ragic offers to someone who has never used it, and what are the key benefits that the platform provides? How would the answer differ if the audience was a developer versus, say, an end user? I have used the platform for over a year and really like the ability to create forms from database quickly on the fly. I do struggle sometimes to explain to colleagues in a simple way what the benefits are. That's actually a really good question. So what is Ragic basically? Ragic is a database builder tool. And instead of having like a database package, which are completely ready-made and not customizable, Ragic is a tool that allows users to customize and create their own database regarding their database requirements, business logic, workflow requirements, etc. And all of these can be done without a line of code. All you need to do is just create the sheets you need, how you like to store your data, and all the fields you need. And it's just like designing an Excel sheet, but it has more powerful features, and it is a database. Rather, Excel is just simply a sheet that can't build any data relationships. That's how I would like to describe Ragic to other users. And also what I would like to say is I like to compare Ragic with some of the other products. The first of all is spreadsheets. In spreadsheets, you can't build data relationships. You can't really store and manage data with access rights. However, that can all be easily done in Ragic. And also when people experience spreadsheets and they experience a nightmare with them, they tend to go with a software package or find an IT professional to develop a database. However, if you hire an IT professional, he or she might not completely know what you need, what your requirements are, because he doesn't really work for your company, sort of this aspect. So it will be hard to communicate with them, and all those customizations are difficult, and they are hard to be customized or in the future or redesigned in the future as well. And another approach is to buy a software package. However, a software package comes with everything and comes with a lot of things, but sometimes it doesn't completely match your business logic and your needs. So in those scenarios, you end up spending a lot of time using a product that you don't really need. But in Ragic, you design your own system, so it will fit your system in almost no matter what. I mean, because we have a lot of different features, but of course there are other different requirements. And if that's, I would say, because this is the part I would say for an end user. And for a developer, I would say the similar things as well. But I would say that if you need further customization, Ragic also exposes our API, and you may also use API concatenation, integration, or JavaScript workflows to use coding to fit business logics. So that's what I would say about Ragic. And there are also other long story short, it's a flexibly customizable database, and you don't need a line of code. That's how I would say it. All right, and let me just check if there are any new questions. All right, I think I've answered all 6 questions. Thanks for asking the questions right here, and I'll be answering one of the questions from user Melina Murphy. And also, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask right now. I would like to use Ragic to create an order form to assist with quoting clients' orders, inquiries for my e-commerce business. I am new to Ragic and I'm wondering how to create this. So you need to create an order form, and also with like quotes, orders, inquiries. So first of all, what you need to do is First of all, register your Ragic database, of course, and just create your tabs, create your sheets. So you can create a new sheet, design a new sheet. I'm just gonna call this quotes. I'm just gonna quickly apply a template, but you may create your own fields there. So a quotation. Here's a template. There are the fields needed. I can also add fields or modify fields. For example, office, company, address, and owner. I'm guessing. I'm just thinking about new fields up on top of my head. Save this, and you have a quotation sheet. You also create your own sheets completely from scratch as well. Now here's a new quote, and if you need to make it more in the system, we also have other features. Going to form tools, using link and load to select or link from other sheets, and referencing from existing sheets, such as when you have a user sheet and you would like to reference all quotes of the user. New sheet from subtable, which is similar to referencing from existing sheets, but it's populating your subtable data onto another independent sheet, such as on a quote, we have a lot of products right here, and then you would like to see all the products bought for each as a record. With that in mind, you can just simply create a new sheet from subtable. And keep in mind, with using these two features, new sheet from subtable and reference subtables, the data will be synced with your source sheet. And there are also convert vectors, update values on other sheets, and other custom action buttons such as custom email. And you may apply to your sheets if you would like to create it more towards as a workflow, more like a workflow part, as a workflow, like a process of work. I can't find the perfect word for it. And for more if you would like to have a more comprehensive suggestion, feel free to just submit a support ticket or email us at support@ragic.com, and we'll help you guide you to the right direction. And on the other hand, also check out other videos in our YouTube channel, and which we talk about different features, and they can also be very helpful too. So I guess I've answered all the questions that are currently right here, and right now I would like to talk about some of the new features in Ragic, which are, they are very helpful. Well, first of all, we've actually updated our Learn Ragic page. Right here, you can click here to go Learn Ragic. So previously we only have tutorials. We only have some tutorials and documents in the Learn Ragic page. And now we've made a big update to it. We've added a new video right here showing how to create a quotation 5 minutes with the Ragic founder and sync to YouTube. And also we've added different courses that helps you to walk through Ragic, such as the keys, concepts and interface walkthrough, and other required courses. And there are also more courses for you to understand Ragic. And we go back, and there are also elective courses which are focusing on certain features, such as search and filter, configuring approval flows, etc. So let me just click on the course and see how it works like. Basically, what you will learn right here, we have a video if there's a video that is made, and then there are also some key concepts that we talk more in depth about, and you're gonna go through them, and then when you understand them, you can just check the box below to show that you're completed, and it will be recorded in your database. There are also other use cases and templates. These are not completely, so let's say a sales template. We have some what do you call them? Some definition about how to use the templates, and you may go through them if you would like to. And also other use cases as well. So this is for the Learn Ragic part, and for the things that are have been previously on our Learn Ragic in the previous version. Interactive tutorials are right here in the left sidebar. Guide documents and slides, frequently asked questions, API documents, etc. They're all located on this left sidebar. So everything that was there is still here. We've not deleted anything from my memory. I don't think we have, but we have a lot of new things, and you can also search and learn Ragic, such as if I want to go through interface, and they will search in the courses part, and then you'll find key concepts and interface walkthrough. So this is for Learn Ragic, and another thing that I find it really helpful is our knowledge base, Ragic knowledge base. And in the knowledge base, basically, previously it's just a page that has a list of probably a few hundred of questions, but right here you can search, such as I'm just gonna go through formula, and it will find all the knowledge base questions related to formula right here, and all the knowledge base documents are also organized on the left sidebar right here in terms of its topics, such as, for example, can click on for developers. All the questions are right here down, all listed right here, and you can click it again to close them. Information security, all the other questions are right here. So it's much easier to find your questions right here than the previous version, which you have to go to using sort of like the text finder of your browser. That's how I work with them. And finally, one thing that may be useful if you guys are from those countries, we now support two different languages, which is Japanese and Spanish. We're still enhancing it to make the languages completely correct. We're still working on them, but now they are already available in using Ragic. Let's just click on Spanish, for example. Now, a lot of course, my sheets are created in English, so they're still in English, but a lot of the user interfaces are already translated in Spanish. So if you're more familiar with the Spanish language, now there's a Spanish version of Ragic. And if you have any questions, even if you would like to ask some questions in Spanish, we do have a colleague who speaks Spanish, and she will be answering your tickets if you've actually asked in Spanish. But I mean, our customer support is still mainly done in Chinese and English, so it's just another alternative for you if you would like to go with that. And I'd like to answer the question from user Clifford Lee. Will there be a feature for mail merge to PDF? In the future, we're working on it. I'm not sure when it will be completed because it's actually a hard task for our developers who are working very hard on them. But it's already a feature request from a lot of users, and we hope that it can be done in the near future, but I can't promise you when. Right now, what I would suggest is to still mail merge onto an Excel or a Word document, and then export your data from Excel or Word. I guess that's the best way to go with it. And this is basically some of the new features that are very helpful. And right now, if you guys have actually questions, keep on coming or let me know. Right now, I would like to talk about some of the key common errors that users may make while using their Ragic database. So let me go back to the English version again. So I'm just going to go to your Ragic questions page. One topic that a lot of mistakes are found is listing page and form pages. Yeah, and this may sound very basic, but a lot of how do you say, a lot of some mistakes we receive as support tickets are found here. So for example, go change design. Sometimes users are asking, why can't I create a new field on A8, for example? Like, why doesn't it work? I can't type anything. I can't drag a field or something. This is because this is the listing page. It's only used for displaying your data on the form, every record on the form pages, and select the data. So your fields can be only aligned in a row, and all your records will be displayed as each row below, just like how you're importing data from Excel. So you can't randomly create a field somewhere in other places. And just if you need to create a new field or modify the sheet design, please make sure you go to the form page, which is where most of your data, most of the data of a record will be displayed. And also, what comes happen a lot in form page or listing pages is that some users, they only create their formulas on the listing page, but not on the form page. Now, with that in mind, please make sure that your formulas, they have to be on the form page to make it work. The listing page formula settings is only for when you're editing directly on the listing page and you would like to apply the formula directly. And please make sure that if you're applying a formula on the listing page, please not only apply the formula apply formulas on the form page, but also please apply the same formulas, or your data will be having mistakes. And another question about listing page and form pages is we've got screenshots asking, why don't I find link and load right here? Well, link and load is not supported in the listing pages. Again, please go to the form page, and you'll find many other different form tools right here. So it's completely different. That's why it's actually a sheet in 2 displays. And it also works even if you're in the editing mode. So when you're listing, let's say you're in the listing page, you have quite a few editing tools such as mask create, mask clone, download as Excel or text, almost all features, or embed this sheet, share this sheet. But if I go to the form page, you have the tools. The tools are different. You do not have mask create or mask clone. Your import download as Excel file, etc. They are all different. This is because the listing page and form page are different, so they will need different features. Despite having the same data, so they will be different. So think about the logic. Generally, when you do stuff on the form page, it applies to an individual record, but on the listing page, it applies to multiple records at once. So of course, the settings and the features will be different. And this happens quite a lot. We got quite a lot of these questions, and let's talk about importing. So if you guys still remember the template I just created, if I would like to, I can import the sheet to create a new sheet on Ragic. So let me just create it right here, and make sure you have the formatting correct, which I've talked about previously. And I would like to add a new sheet, create a new sheet with my Excel file. Select the file, import student data. Next, it's formatted correctly. And I want to create a new sheet in this tab. Now here comes the very important part. Right here in this page, you're selecting the field types for each field. Right, keep in mind that you are creating a new sheet. instead of just importing data to existing sheets. Now make sure these are in, you have selected the right field. So for example, sometimes the system will try to guess which field types you need. And such as for the name is in free text, gender is for selection or another field. Maybe or another field, but if you like to change it, you can set it as another selection. Set it as another field type, I guess. And they make sure these are correct, or your data will be formatted incorrectly. So, for example, if somehow it guesses the class as a money field, then these values will not be displayed correctly. So make sure you have the field types that are selected correctly. So I'm just going to create a, so this is a class. I think this is a free text field is probably the best selection. Make sure these are correct and click next and import and create. Now I've just created a new Ragic sheet and they're all formatted correctly. And if you would like to do if you would like to import to the existing sheets, and you might find that sometimes, why isn't a field why is a field empty but it had values on the Excel sheet? Well, that is because you probably have said that you probably would like to enter a name, like the homeroom teacher name, into a numeric field, but a numeric field only allows numeric values, and that's why the field can only be empty. I mean, you can't have numbers as from a homeroom teacher. It doesn't work that way. So please make sure that the format is correct. And also, I could like to talk about some link and load common errors. We actually have a document talking about link and load common errors. I think again, is it right here? Gray out. Unable to link grade field. It's in this document right here. Well, basically, sometimes some fields they can't be linked or linked. Well, this is because the fields you want to link are subtable fields. You cannot have the link. You cannot link. A subtable field cannot be a linked source. You cannot link from subtable fields because a subtable fields they can't have many records under one record. But since link and load is a one-to-one relationship, it doesn't work that way. So if you would like if you really want to link from a subtable field, please make sure that you're to create a new sheet from that subtable and link from the new sheet. And also there are certain field types that are not linkable, such as linking from a numeric field as the link field. The numeric field cannot be the numeric field cannot be a link source field, and if your link source field is already a link field on the source sheet, it cannot be a link source field as well. So sometimes you'll see grayed out values, the grade fields when you're doing link and load settings. And also there are other scenarios such as since link and load is a one-to-one relationship, all the link values must be unique. If you already have duplicate values on the sheet, such as you have two names and you would like to link from the name, well then you can't link from the name field. That's the reason why. And these are very common. So whenever you are going through link and load relationships, please make sure that the field is in the correct field type, or every value isn't unique. And just please make sure that those settings are correct to be able to set up your link and load relationships correctly. And since link and load is a very important feature in your Ragic database to build relationships, this error happens quite a lot, and it's also very important when managing your database. So I guess that's all for today's webinar. If you guys have any more questions, I'll be here for another few minutes to answer your questions, or you can just simply go to the office hours sheet to ask your questions, and I'll answer them in this webinar. let me go back to your original, your Ragic question sheet to see if you have new questions. And also, if you would like to ask more extensive questions, you may also click on the Need Help button to submit a support ticket. All you need to do is click Need Help, go to Support Ticket, and add the subject, and provide all the necessary information. The more details, the better. And the more, if you have supporting details such as, or resources such as images, your current, such as your Excel files that uses your current workflow, etc. Having them will definitely help us better understand your situation and to give you a more complete answer. And also, when you complete and like to submit your basically submit your ticket, Ragic support will have access to your account temporarily, and if you would like them to not have access in the future, just make sure to set their user status as suspended in the user management page. So it's about 10:33 in my time zone, and I think it's time to end this webinar. If you guys have any questions in the future, you may still ask. You may still ask in this sheet. If you may still ask questions in this sheet, and I will hold another Ragic office hour Q&A session in the future. I'm guessing it might be in November or October. But if you have any questions, feel free to ask right here. Also, you may go to the Need Help button, as I've just demonstrated, to submit a support ticket, and our Ragic support staff are always happy to help you. And that's it for today's webinar, and thanks for participating and joining me in this webinar, and we'll see you next time.